petitions, presentations, and public
You gonna
meetings.
sign any?
We have none. Unfinished business, we have none. Other agency reports, we have none. And we have a consent agenda with the following items pulled.
Sorry. They were still doing some signing here, but I'm going to announce a pecuniary interest on one item where I've requested to attend a fairly local conference over and above my 2 allocated. So.
Okay. Okay, so the following items have been pulled. Tourism and Events Advisory Committee, February 16th, 2017 minutes. The Director of Economic Development and Tourism beachfront lease for the Main Street Market kiosk. The beachfront lease for Rebel Beach. The beachfront lease for the Shore Store. Beachfront lease for Funnel Tunnel. Beachfront lease for 41 Beach Drive Unit F. Beachfront lease for 57 Beach Drive, which is Splash. Beachfront lease for 93 Beach Drive Unit C. Downtown Master Plan advertising billboards. Downtown Steering Committee amended terms of reference. 2017 beachfront improvements. And the hosting of Doug Griffiths, author, speaker, and founder of 13 Ways to Kill Your Community. And Councillor Belanger's attendance at the 64th Annual OSAM Conference. The CAO's Downtown Memorandum of Understanding. The Chief Administrator of CAO's Beachfront Property Management Capital Budget Allocation. And the Chief Information Technology Officer's report on Beach 1 and 2 CCTV security camera project budget adjustment. So with the exception of those items, we have a consent agenda. What's left? For which I will read the motion. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Mayor Smith, resolved that the General Government Section of Coordinated Committee hereby receives the April 13th consent agenda, items 6D through 6F, and that the recommendations contained herein be adopted as amended.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having heard the question, I'll call for the vote. Councillor Belanger.
In favor?
Deputy Mayor Bypolsky.
In favor?
Councillor Ego.
In favor?
Councillor Smith.
In favor.
Mayor Smith.
In favor.
Councillor Stockwell.
Favor.
Chair Bray.
In favor.
Thank you. Committee. The vote carries and a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Motion first. Okay, so the first item for discussion is Tourism and Events Advisory Committee, February 16th minutes. So moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Mayor Smith. Resolved that the General Government Services Section of Coordinated Committee received the February 16th Tourism and Events Advisory Committee meeting minutes from the Economic Development and Tourism Department as circulated. So if there are no other comments, I had a comment on the minutes that I was unable to attend the meeting, and I find that the minutes are very vague, so that if somebody who hasn't attended the meeting, I can't really follow what's happening, and I'm just wondering if we could either make these minutes more indicative of what the discussion that took place or the decisions that were being made, or if we should be putting forward a motion to record committee minutes so that those of us that don't attend are actually able to keep up with the different committees that are happening throughout the town. Deputy Mayor Bypolsky.
Thank you. Just a comment. I think we've created a number of committees now, including ones for the beachfront that are open to the public, so I don't see why we wouldn't be recording all of them now. So I would like to see that.
Any other comments or? Andrew?
So just in response, I think you've heard our new clerk mention this in previous meetings. This is a different style of recording minutes. Certainly in my previous background, you would only record actions. I think the town for a little while was recording almost verbatim the discussion. That's not standard procedure in most municipalities, and I think that the clerk has confirmed this. So if council would like minutes taken in a different manner, we can certainly do that, but we were simply adhering to what most municipalities do by recording actions.
Okay, as a member of council, I just find it hard to keep up with. The different committees because they're, it just basically says there was a discussion, but I don't know if it was, up, down, back or forth, so. Deputy Mayor Bethel.
Thank you, and I was just going to say, I think the discussion at the meetings is of interest to everyone. I certainly can't attend all of the ad hoc and everything else committees, but I do like to know the discussion around the table, so I don't know if I can put a motion forward now that we would start recording those as well. Mr. CIO?
Madam Chair, certainly if there's interest on this particular subject in terms of recording the meetings, that would be fine. The only caveat I would put there is that the classroom is the only meeting room that's equipped to do these types of recordings. And not all the meetings are held in this particular room. Sometimes they're held over at the fire hall, sometimes they're in other locations. So there are some limitations with respect to recording all meetings, but there's certainly the meetings that take place in this room. If they're available, then certainly they could be recorded.
And just to that point, I think this room is larger than the boardroom at the fire hall anyway, so I would think that the meeting should be held here anyways. This is town hall, this is where people expect meetings to be happening, so I think we should be holding all of those meetings here, especially ones dealing with beachfront and town issues. So they should be here anyways.
Mayor Smith, do you have a comment?
Not yet.
Councilor Logic?
Well, just for clarification, my understanding is these committees work in to increase transparency. The public are welcome. Any actions that they undertake come to council. The discussion leads up to presentations to council. I think we have to look at, there could be conflicts as far as having all meetings in this room. I know the library committee likes to meet in the library. And in addition, there's a cost. There's a cost to the environment and the amount of paper we use, how much typing and everything our staff do. So I thought on the recommendation of our new clerk that we were going to try to reduce the detail in minutes, and I, for one, try to attend as many committee meetings as I can. So, but.
Oh, you want to make a motion?
I do want to make a motion, and again, it's, I agree, we don't need to be making more paper, but to push a button and record it so that anybody can watch it, including members of council who are all busy running different places, as well as the public, that's open and transparent, so why wouldn't we do that? And I agree, the library has always been over at the library. I think we're talking more about the other committees that council has created recently, that's the interest. That's where people want to know what's going on, what the discussion is, and I think that's fair to broadcast that.
Mayor Smith?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now I have a comment. So, I think the Deputy Mayor just hit the nail on the head. It's the new committees that have been formed that are, forming all this interest. And what I've learned in the 2 and a bit short years as a member of this council is that when meetings are of interest to people, they certainly show up. I think that's been loud and clear. I find it a little peculiar, I'll use that word, that for many, many years this community has never recorded any meetings other than the standard practice. And I find it peculiar that there are comments made that this council or staff are now doing less to be transparent with respect to how we record our minutes, when in fact those major committees of council and committee of the whole are taped in their entirety. I don't know how much more open and transparent you could possibly be, unless maybe you were going to go in and edit something. So, many years this community has had many ad hoc committees, if you will. I think that there's my opinion only. There's more to this than meets the eye, and I will not support this motion or this amendment.
Thank you. Just for the record, I'm interested in all the meetings. I certainly can't attend them all, so by having it recorded, that would certainly help me. The town has also never taken on what we're doing now with the purchase of a beachfront and all the different things going on. So it is something new, and so I think we should be recording.
my comment would be that yes, we do record our minutes, but unfortunately, or our meetings, but unfortunately the minutes being much bigger. When you do a search on the Wasaga Beach website, nothing comes up. So if I wanted to look at a previous lease for a tenant or to find out what something is, I can't find that in the minutes easily anymore. I used to be able to type in 6 keywords and 22 references would come up. Yeah, now there won't be, but there would be a link to a video. I don't have 2 hours to watch every meeting that I've sat through. And I think when the public asks me a question, again, I don't have time to watch those minutes. And to just say to somebody, hey, we talked about it a month ago or 2 months ago or 3 months ago, go watch it, isn't really open and transparent. It's like we're hiding it behind the video. And there's no need to. We're not doing anything that we're not proud of doing. So let's make it available to all. Mayor Smith?
Maybe we can, for the record, let's just clarify that I don't think anybody's hiding anything behind anything here. We're following the standard procedure according to our clerk that the vast majority of communities follow. So nobody's hiding anything. I think it's very important we make that clear.
If I insinuated that wasn't what I meant, I just think the material is very hard to find. I'm one that looks for material. I like to have facts, and I find it difficult with our current website, which is very, very large and very cumbersome to do a search. Mayor Smith?
Madam Chair, it's not what you insinuated, it's what you said.
I will watch the recording and I will listen to what I said. I apologize if it offended you. Do we have a motion to...
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a mover. I'm looking for a seconder for the motion.
Can't hear you.
So we have a mover for the motion that Deputy Mayor Byfulchi had requested, but we require a seconder.
Maybe could you read that?
Sure. So the motion as it stands now is resolved that the General Committee Services section of Coordinated Committee recommend to Council that all committees of Council are live streamed.
Yeah, I'm willing to second. Do I need to reread that?
Is the committee familiar with that?
Would you like me to reread that motion? Okay.
Okay, the motion having been read, I'll call the question. Councillor Belanger,
Oppose?
Deputy Mayor Byfulchi,
In favor?
Councillor Ego,
Opposed?
Councillor Smith,
Opposed.
Mayor Smith, opposed. Councillor Stockwell,
Opposed.
Chair Bray,
In favor?
thank you. The motion fails on a vote of 2 in favor and 5 opposed. It's already been read.
Oh, okay, so the motion to approve the minutes has been read.
Having heard the question, I'll call for the vote. Councillor Belanger,
Sorry, can we clarify?
thank you, Madam Chair, through you. This is the motion to receive the minutes from the Tourism and Events Advisory
thank
Committee
you.
of February 16th.
In favor?
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Byfulchi,
In favor?
Councillor Ego,
In favor.
Councillor Smith,
In favor.
Mayor Smith,
In favor?
Councillor Stockwell,
Favor.
Chair Bray.
In favor.
Thank you. Committee, the motion carries on a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you. Next item up for discussion is the Director of Economic Development and Tourism beachfront lease for 12 Main Street Unit B, a Main Street Market kiosk. And this was, I guess, a renewal for a 2-year lease for Transylvania Pastry. And my only comment about the lease, and I guess all the lease agreements for the kiosks, is that there's a marketing fee of $60 per year for those kiosks. Yet the entertainment budget for that area is $45,000. So I just think moving forward, we have to look at this marketing fee, and if we're going to be putting entertainment in front of your business, we either need to do it a little more fairly, or we need to adjust the marketing fee to represent the
Yeah, so
Director.
if I could respond, Madam Chair. If you recall back in, I believe it was October of 2015, I brought forward a report recommending that as a first step to kind of introduce this to the beachfront, that we propose a 1% of your lease to go towards marketing. And there are certainly other places that have a higher percentage fee. I believe Blue Mountains is much higher than 1%. So perhaps it might be time to revisit that 1%, but I would recommend that it apply across the beachfront, and perhaps that might be something for the management board to consider moving forward.
I just want to suggest that, and again, speaking to many, many business owners that benefit from the increased tourism on our beachfront, if we could also argue that we should assess a marketing fee to every business in town, because certainly Canadian Tire's business has done extremely well, and he contributes quite a bit of that to the activity on our beachfront and the events and the marketing that we do. And certainly I've talked to many, many restaurant owners, accommodations. There's just many businesses that benefit from this. So to suggest that we're just doing this marketing for a small group of businesses is incorrect. We're doing this for the benefit of our entire town.
Okay, seeing no other comments? I do have a motion. Moved by Deputy Mayor by Fulci, seconded by Councillor Smith. Resolved that the General Government Services Section Coordinated Committee recommend to Council of the Town of Wasaga Beach accept the option to renew kiosk leave with Anka Marchidanu, carry on business as Secrets of Transylvania Pastry for 1 year with an option to renew for a further 2 years based on satisfactory performance and council approval.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Having heard the question, I'll call for the vote. Councillor Belanger.
In favor?
Deputy Mayor Byfolchi.
In favor?
Councillor Ego.
In favor?
Councillor Smith.
In favor.
Mayor Smith.
In favor.
Councillor Stockwell.
In favor.
Chair Bray.
In favor.
Thank you, committee. The motion carries on a vote of 7 in favor, 0 opposed.
Council, next week's lease up for discussion is 13 First Street, Unit 2, Rebel Beach. We have about 5 minutes. Do you think that's long enough, or should we take a break and go back to Development Services? Because we have an 11 o'clock public meeting.
I think I pulled that and my comments are quick and then I'll be ready to vote. So unless
Okay.
other people have something to say.
Then, okay, so then beachfront lease 13 First Street, Unit 2, Rebel Beach. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. My comments on this one are, and we've had them before with regard to the 5-year plus the 5-year, because I know we were trying to kind of line them up, that we don't have some finishing at all different times. If there is development of the beachfront and somebody comes in, we don't want to be buying out a whole bunch because they're on a different time frame. So that was my one concern with the 5-year plus the 5-year on this one, because we're already into it with others. And I guess the other thing is I still see these leases as being all over the place. This one, I think the yearly marketing fee increase is 2.5, somebody else is 5%, and again, I think that we need to be fair to all, and I think those types of things really should be a standard thing. And one other question on this is, are all of these, and my comments on that one are similar to other ones that I've pulled, so I won't reiterate them at that time, I'll just make a quick statement. But are all these buildings metered separately? So as far as, because it says here about utilities, but I'm hearing that some are on the same meter, and how do you collect, and how is that working out?
Yeah, so through you, Madam Chair, with respect to utilities, consumption meters have been installed at the beachfront. George, the CAO may correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they're all installed as of now, so that for 2017 we will be able to individually monitor each unit. That was not the case in 2016, so in trying to estimate utilities for these leases, there was a bit of guesswork, but they will be individually monitored for 2017.
Okay, thank you. Is that accurate then? They've all got them?
Madam Chair,
I'm not questioning you, but you put it over to the CAO.
Yes.
So
Our electrician this spring has installed all the monitors, so
Okay.
the units are monitored.
okay, thank you.
And I'm not sure if you want a response to the other questions that you posed. So with respect to the 5 plus 5, you are correct that they will all not align. However, we do have the option of not renewing a 5-year if we get into a position where we want to move forward with development on an individual parcel of land that is subject to some of these leases. According to the master plan, the area that a lot of these leases apply to will be the last area that will be developed. So it shouldn't be an issue, but we do have the option of considering the option whether or not we want to allow that to occur. So that's a bit of a safety valve that we have built into the process.
And again, my only comment on that is I remember we looked at some other ones and we changed the timing. So I'm just looking to have things kind of end at the same time. And I think by doing this, we'll have some end in 2 years and we'll have others end in 5 years. And I think it's kind of just all over the map. But I wasn't really expecting an answer on any of that. Those were just comments.
Any other comments? Mayor Smith?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to Andrew. So Andrew, at the end of the day, when we look at what this tenant is asking for, what's the net difference? You know?
Through you, Madam Chair, the net should be the same. So that's what Mr. McCauley was looking for. Essentially, he's trying to keep his payment the same. It looks a little bit different on paper, but the net amount that comes to the town should be approximately the same.
All right, thank you.
There's no more comments. I had comments. I wasn't able to support this lease. The first question to the treasurer was, is this tenant paid up before we renegotiated his leases? And I don't believe he is, and I don't know that we should be negotiating when you're not current. As well, when I did the math, last year it was $38,000 all in. With a 5% increase, that would take it to just under $40,000. This year, the town would be collecting $31,900 plus hydro. So it's almost a 20% drop without the hydro. I know hydro will be added on top of that. Who knows what it is? It will depend what he does in the storm, what he uses. But I think that's a big drop. We had hoped to increase the rent 5%. That possibly reduces it, doesn't even hold its status quo. So I'm concerned with the rates that are in here. And also the fact that we're negotiating with people who may or may not be current.
And in response to that, so this is a lease that has expired. This is one that we took over from Wasaga Developments Inc. So the 5% wouldn't apply because it's an expiring lease. The other issue is staff have no ability to negotiate any of these leases. The offers that come forward are the offers that come forward. Council has been pretty clear that you do not want me or any other staff negotiating. So this is what the prospective tenant has offered.
So, and as a member of council, I'm not willing to accept it, but if there's no other comments, we can have a vote. Councillor Smith?
Thank you. Just for clarification through the CAO, Monica is here. Are they in arrears from 2016?
So they were recently billed their hydro consumption for August and September, and it wasn't due until the end of February, but we have sent out reminders to everybody. So that's the only thing that he does know at this point. So technically it wasn't due until February 20th.
So is he?
Okay, I will call the question. Moved by Councillor Ego, seconded by Councillor Smith. Resolved that the General Government Services Section of Coordinated Committee recommend to Council that the Town of Wasaga Beach accept the offer to lease from Splash Apparel for 13 First Street, Unit 2 for a 5-year term with an option to renew for a further 5 years based on satisfactory performance and Council approval. The lease does relate to Rebel Beach, but the business name is Splash Apparel. Mr. CAO.
Madam Chair, having heard the question, I'll call for the vote. Councillor Boulanger.
In favor?
Deputy Mayor Byfolchi.
Opposed?
Councillor Ego.
In favor.
Councillor Smith.
In favor.
Mayor Smith.
In favor?
Councillor Stockwell.
Favor.
Chair Bray.
Opposed?
Thank you, committee. The vote is carried on a vote of 5 in favor and 2 opposed.
General Government will now take a pause so that we can proceed with the pre-scheduled public meeting. Switch the chairs.
Hey, Rep. Thank you, Patty.
Morning.
So I guess we'll start again. We have Patrick Towns representing Bay Cliff Homes, Morgan Road. Welcome. Welcome, Patrick. Do you have you met everyone around the table? Do you know most of the people?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We were here previously just to provide a delegation, provide an overview of the application. At that time, we met everybody, and as I said, just presented a quick overview today. This is the public meeting for the same application. We're proposing to increase the proposed lot coverage at the Bay Cliff subdivision within a number of the phases, and in today's meetings for the benefit of the public as well. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Notice of public meeting was published in the Wasaga Sun newspaper on March 23rd, 2017, and circulated to all agencies, service providers, school boards, and abutting municipalities as prescribed in the Planning Act. This provided 20 days of notice for the public meeting, and this meeting is therefore properly constituted as required by the Planning Act. The lands subject to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment are lands located within phases 2, 3, and 4 of the Villas of Upper Wasaga Residential Plan of Subdivision, registered as Plan 51M-1028. The purpose of the zoning bylaw amendment would rezone a portion of the Plan of Subdivision zoned residential type 1 holding, R1H, to the residential type 1 35th exception holding R1-35H zone. The effect of the proposed zoning bylaw amendment would permit an increase in the maximum lot coverage provision from 35% to 42% for single detached dwellings within phases 2, 3, and 4 of the plan of subdivision. As a result of the circulation of public notice, meeting following the written comments were received. Letters of support, none. Letters of no objection, Enbridge Gas Distribution and Simcoe County District School Board have advised that they have no objection to the application. Letters of concern, none. Letters of objection, none. Ms. Jarrett, have we received any further letters or correspondence in regard to this?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have. The Wasaga Valley Conservation Authority provided us comments this morning. They advised there's 2 sections, engineering. They would like the applicant to demonstrate that existing stormwater management can accommodate storm flows resulting from the facility hard surfaces, so they can increase the dumping size. And then under ecology, they have no concerns. There's no natural heritage concerns because there's no expansion of the existing lot fabric. They do note that there are some requirements in the subdivision agreement that they would like the owner to be reminded of with regards to some plantings and some additional work that needs to be done. And also that there are some limits that will need to be taken out, perhaps these that have expired or they need to be renewed with regards to construction.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Patrick Towns of MHBC Planning will now make a brief presentation and will provide further details with respect to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The application is the subject lands are the registered plan of subdivision known as Villas of Upper Wasaga. It's generally located north of Morgan Road, east of County Road 7. The proposed zoning bylaw amendment applies to a total of 229 single detached lots, only within phases 2, 3, and 4. The application seeks to increase the permitted maximum lot coverage for the residential type 1 zone from a value of 35% to 42%. This map shows the phasing plan of the subdivision. Phase 1 is currently under construction. So the only other portion of the subject lands that aren't covered under the application are the townhouses in phase 4. All other phases, being a total of 229 lots within 2, 3, and 4, are subject to the application. And here's just a highlighted version of each section of the 229 lots subject. A quick overview of the residential type 1 lot standards right now. Important factor of the application is no setbacks, front yard setbacks, side yard setbacks will be reduced as a result of the application. The only thing we're proposing to amend is the lot coverage, going from 35% to 42%, an increase of 7%. In comparison, the town's R2 zone is 40% right now, and we feel that the increase will permit a number of things, as we'll discuss further on. But that's the only thing we're proposing to change as a result of the amendment application. Subdivision currently ranges in a number of lot sizes. I've included 3 examples: a smaller lot, a medium lot, and a larger lot. What you have here is a lot size of approximately 460 square meters. Your darker green color is a square representing a total lot coverage of 42%. So even built to the maximum capacity, you could say at 42%, you can see it doesn't encroach into the side or the rear yard setback, front, sides, for example. While maintaining the existing setbacks, you also maintain landscape open space. The minimum requirement is 30% for the R1 property, and with a house of this type, you're maintaining 60%. Another lot example, a medium size, around 700 square meters. Again, your dark green represents 42%. And again, a larger size, around 1,000 square meters, your dark green represents 42%. So at no time is there potential to go into the setbacks in the rear and side. One thing important to note is the houses design shown are 2 stories. What the application does, going from 35 to 42%, number 1, provides flexibility to the owner to possibly build a larger house, but also go into a bungalow style house as well. The majority of the lots in the subdivision are the smaller lots, and as the drawing shows, you can see there's something that encroaches into the rear yard. That is a deck. Decks are permitted to encroach into the rear yards in accordance with the zoning bylaw provisions. With the 42%, not only is there flexibility for a larger house, different building style, but also for owners to add custom decks without having to go through additional variance process. Through discussion with the town, I know 40% has been really maxed out by the time residents add a deck on a lot this size. In completing our planning analysis, we did submit a plan justification report with the application. In our opinion, the proposal is consistent with the PPS and conforms to the growth plan. The lands are already approved for plan of subdivision, and it optimizes existing infrastructure in this case. Likewise, in the County Simcoe official plan, the property is located within a settlement area, which is to be the focus of growth for municipalities. And in the Town of Wasaga Beach official plan, it encourages a wide range of housing types. And what this application does is it allows flexibility to the owners to build a slightly larger house or a different style, as bungalows typically have a larger lot coverage. In summary of the application, there's no changes to the existing lot fabric or setbacks or built form. The subdivision is approved and zoned R1. The only thing we're changing is the proposed lot coverage from 35 to 42%. The change in lot coverage, or the amendment to the lot coverage, again provides flexibility to future owners regarding house sizes and types. If they want to build a bungalow house with a slightly larger footprint, that will be able to be accommodated with the 42% coverage on these lots. Flexibility to the owner to add custom decks up until the 42% lot coverage, and adequate amenity space is provided without encroaching into those setbacks. You still have well over the minimum required 30% amenity space. And in summary, it also maintains the character and lot standards of the R1 zone, and will be consistent with the other houses in the subdivision as well. Thank you again. That closes the presentation.
Thank you, Patrick. Is there anyone present who would like to provide input either in support of or in opposition to the proposed amendment? If so, please stand and clearly state your name and address in order that it may be correctly entered into the records of today's proceedings.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Frank Foles, and that's spelled F-O-L-Z. And I represent a group of residents of Phase 1 of the said development. And we'd like to speak to the I have a couple issues, if I may. And I'm going to ask Patrick if he would be kind enough to give us the overview of the subdivision itself.
The phasing for that?
That's the one, yes. And I'm not quite sure how this works, but I might be able to make it help alter it. As I mentioned, a few of our residents have joined me today. We have, some of us have been residents of Phase 1 for quite some time. As a matter of fact, we'll be closing in on our third year. The purchase agreement with the builder, which took place on my wife's birthday of November the 8th, 1913, 2013. I never did that one down. And we moved in, actually took possession in November 2014, a year later. So we've been there since, and we were actually the second family to move in. We have no objection in principle at all the proposed amendment change of the builder with regard to Phase 2, 3, and 4. Our issue is the issue of access both to Phase 1 and to Phase 2 by construction road. And if I could make this work, I just help. Mike could probably know more about this than okay. Phase 1. Okay. I need to find, this is Pearl Street, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this area here is Phase 1. There are 67 homes being built there, and currently some 30 or 32 have been occupied. The remaining group of homes that are under construction in the middle. So the residents actually live on the perimeter of Phase 1. We live here. Now, the issue that we have, now that Phase 2 has sold out, and interestingly enough, it took 4 years for Phase 1 to sell out. It took 3 months for Phase 2 to sell out. So I congratulate the builder because they're doing a mighty fine job in providing a product that obviously the community wants. However, from experience, the only access road into this phase 1 has been Pearl Street. Okay? And now that phase 2 is well underway, and the construction access for phase 2 comes also down Pearl Street, and we see now huge trucks coming in carrying sand and gravel and put the base for the road in for phase 2. And some of those trucks not only go on Pearl Street but on Falvo Street as well as Middleton in order to access this area here. It's the only entry into it. So you can imagine the kind of disturbance that this is causing for the residents who are there and who have been there for quite some time. Dust and mud and all traffic. So what we are proposing as the group of residents who have submitted a letter to council is that in addition to the amendment that council is considering from the builder, that they also trailer it with an amendment so that this street here, from Morgan to phase 2 and phase 1 of the subdivision, be enacted and built immediately. It is already planned for phase 3. Now, there's an issue here, I know, with regard to the Conservation Authority, because this is Lamont Creek, which goes all the way over to 45th Street. And so they have to build a bridge over that creek. But it would be a tremendous benefit, both to the builder and the current residents, if that road were open now. Access then to phase 2 would come up through Morgan Street, from Morgan Street through Middleton Road extension into phase 2. So the construction access would go on. They can have all their kind of equipment and bulldozers and front-end loaders as needed to complete that work. And also, it would give the builder an opportunity then to complete phase 1. Because right now, phase 1 still is incomplete. It needs curbs, sidewalks, driveways are paved. So there's a lot of work that continues on that can be done in phase 1. So it's our proposal that council be kind enough to consider this second amendment that would allow this road to Morgan, the extension of Middleton, become the construction road for phase 2. Now, I don't know if any of my colleagues would like to comment in addition to this, but there are a few of them here. We have signatures from 30 residents now for this proposal.
So there's somebody else, please state your name and address for
My
the
name is
record.
Ed Stanek. I live at 81 Pearl Street, actually a neighbor of Frank's. The one issue, I guess, and other than what Frank has already commented to, the construction access road today to the site actually is off 45th, comes through phase 5, all the way through here onto Pearl Street, and then from Pearl Street it then carries on to phase 2 development, which is now under construction, which means Pearl Street is a construction access road. And what is lacking in that subdivision agreement, and I appreciate it never can go in, is that the third party to that agreement are the residents who are now occupying all that. We have to now put up with a construction road that sits in a residential zone. And that's really not acceptable to us. So what as Frank has said, what we'd like to see is phase 1 in all its aspects, completed, accepted by the town, and let us enjoy what we bought, which we're not enjoying today. The access road currently, that's off of 45th, will then service the future development of phase 5, which will be fine, it'll be self-contained. If the road from Morgan currently over the bridge, over the creek, can be built immediately. That can serve as a proper access road then for phase 2 development, phase 3, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4, and leave phase 1 complete as it should be to the enjoyment of the residents. That's what we're proposing. As Frank said, we have no objection to the amendment. I think it's logical what the developer wants to do in putting bungalows versus 2 stories, which obviously take up less or more space, I should say. So if you could consider what we've asked through the letter that we've submitted, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this?
My name is Caroline Zook, and the last name is spelled Z-U-K, and I live at 37 Middleton Drive, and just recently moved in there in December. In terms of the additional lot, the increase in percentage, the concern that I have with the pictorials here today, it's hard to tell in context how that's going to affect the properties on Middleton. So the pictorials here are showing the lot size in isolation, but from my home, I can't tell what my actual lot size is right now. There aren't any pegs there to be able to show where my yard ends, where my neighbor's ends, and phase 2 has all this building going on in the back, and it's not clear to me where the backyard is for my future neighbors. So the concern that I have is if the homes are larger, is someone's backyard now going to be, you know, we're right next to each other. So I really think in order, in all deference, I do have an objection to the amendment without having more information so the neighbors actually know how close am I going to be looking into someone's backyard. Because when I purchased the property, I was anticipating a certain lot size, looking at the pictorials that are represented to me, but seeing the information presented here today, it doesn't, there's no way for me to put it into context. So that's one concern. The other concern just has to do with the amount of water that's in phase 2. And I don't know if the city has been out there, but I'm not an environmental expert, but I think someone needs to be looking at whether having more property in a home is going to be affect the amount of water. I mean, it looked like we had a creek in our backyard. So I don't know if someone is focusing in on that. And just in terms of the construction zone, it feels like a garbage zone. The builder is not clean. And they are, there's garbage out that was all in the water, and they're just putting dirt on top of it for phase 2. I think that's an environmental concern. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that has some comments? Yes.
My name's Diane Price, and I live at 6 Wasaga Sands Drive. So I'm the third house in from 45th Street, and we have been there 4.5 years. And we are looking out, we're looking south onto the construction road, the temporary construction road that comes in. And as Frank said, there's a lot of dust, especially in the summertime. Last summertime was horrendous. But I know it's a temporary construction road that they need to use. But what has happened is, behind us, there's been so much dumping done. The builder has to put things there. They've stored things there, which I understand. But when water lines went in on 45th Street and they repaved, whoever the contractor was, they brought all of the construction materials, the concrete, the asphalt that had been dug up, and dumped it behind us off of that construction road. And it's almost like it's become a dump now, because people come in and they see this. Pickup trucks come in, people come in with trailers, dump things. Now I called the town office here, I called Wasaga Valley Conservation Authority about it, and nobody got back to me. And so I don't know what can be done about that, but that's really my concern. And as you said, with the water issue back there, yes, there's a lot of water. And there's usually a great big pond that appears every spring out behind our place in the construction area. And I understand from neighbors that live there longer than us that when they started doing this, some neighbors complained about dust. So what the builder did, from what I understand, is that they dug up some trees that were just growing around and they brought them over and they put them all on the backs of the properties. On there, but on the lot, like what used to be the old farmland. But they never looked after them, a lot of them died. And just behind our place, because it's so wet, where they came in, the machinery got stuck, and it's just great big long ruts that are always full of water. So I don't know if maybe they could maybe divert water there, because water's there anyway, and make a pond where people wouldn't have to worry about so much water. And there's a lot of wildlife back there. There's deer we see just about every night. There's ducks, there's geese, and maybe that would help solve part of the problem too.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to speak to this? Thank you. I will ask members of the committee if they have any questions or comments with regards to the proposed amendment. Councillor Belanger.
Well, maybe just to ask the representative of the builder, I believe on the one comment, the positioning of the house to the backyard or closest, the setbacks haven't been infringed upon. So is that correct?
Through you, Madam Chair. The setbacks, so permissions that exist today on the building to adjacent properties will remain the same after this application. The only thing increasing is the ability to increase from 35 to 42%. So what you have is your setbacks that establish a building envelope. The 42% is actually a smaller area inside that building envelope. So at no time will a house be able to be built right adjacent to your property line. There's always the separation distances in play and are the minimum standards of the R1 zone.
Excuse me, but if you're putting larger properties on the same size building lot, would that not then cause the property well, it's obviously filling up more of the lot, so would it not then come closer to us?
It would be potential to become closer, but there's also flexibilities for owners to place the house, no matter what the size, in those setbacks regardless. So they could build their house at a smaller size right to the rear, or the furthest back, I guess you could say, of that property. So those setbacks, the permission setbacks, do not change. The only thing is potential footprint of the house. So even if you, for example, you could build 7.5 meters from a rear property line, if you had a small house, you can still build that small house towards the back of the property against that line. So no, with the R1 zone standards in place, there's no potential to build closer to your house if you're adjacent.
Thank you, Mayor Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That answered one of my questions. So just to be clear that nothing changes with respect to, pardon me, where the house can be built. So this, by making this change, it's not going to move the house necessarily any closer to the home backing onto it. Okay, and just a couple of comments, Madam Chair, if I may, and that is I don't think the citizens here today are requesting anything unreasonable. I could certainly support them with these requests, and also that through you to the CAO that perhaps we have someone go up and have a look at the issues that they've talked about here today as soon as possible so we can rectify a problem if it's existing. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Belanger.
Yeah, I just had one more comment, and I guess of the residents. I would hope that the builder would be receptive to resolve some of these situations, but in the event that there's possibly another solution, or if a bridge had to be built, they would probably want to know if a timeline was established that what they would do between now and the completion of an alternative.
That's all. The fundamental issue that we see is using Pearl Street as a construction road. If we can divert that and find another alternative, I think most of us would be very happy.
Councillor Eagle, you had your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I was just wondering, through the planner, the NVCA, is the water, is that the issue that they're discussing?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. The development proposal through the plan of subdivision process would have been subject to stormwater management
and also subject to protection of the surrounding environmental protection lands. So in some respect, the comment that we received from the NVCA today speaks to works that should be completed based on those initial reviews that and approvals for the plan of subdivision itself. Staff will be following up with both the developer and the NVCA on that matter. And so in relative to the comment on the ponding of the water, that is something that is addressed through the stormwater management plans that were submitted with the project. But again, I've made note of the comments, and we will be following up with the developer on those issues. If I may, to expand on the comment, staff are aware of the concerns of the residents on Pearl Street. The engineering services department regularly attend at that site and are working with the developer to deal with issues of mud on Pearl Street and dust. The comment about the dust on the construction road behind the Wasaga Sands properties, I will bring that to the attention of engineering services. And there are methodologies where the developer is required to wet it down and deal with that issue. On the topic of a second access out to Morgan Road, my understanding is that there was a meeting on site with the homeowners, the developer, and engineering services last August. And at that time, the developer promised to look at exploring putting in the access to Morgan Road. I've spoken to the town engineer as early as this morning, and he advises that engineering services staff, they are in discussion with the developer, and what they're talking about is the costs, working on the actual engineering costs to construct the bridge, to construct that road out to Morgan Road, and moreover, Morgan Road is in a state right now where it's due for an upgrade. It's deteriorating. And what we know is that if that road going south of Morgan Road for construction purposes, construction traffic on Morgan Road the road itself would not stand up to that level of pressure. So there is a discussion happening between engineering services and the developer on sharing of costs for improvements to Morgan Road. So I can say that in response to the citizens and their concerns, there are discussions happening with the builder right now along the lines of actually putting that third access in. It is not a requirement under the current terms of the subdivision agreement. That access would only go in when phase 3 goes to construction. But we are exploring with the developer hurrying up putting in that access.
Thank you. Question to staff.
Councilor Stockwell.
Yeah, through you, Madam Chair, to staff. So, what's the timing of building that road to Morgan Road to service the new lots that they'll be servicing at the time? Is that 10 years away? Where is it?
Through you, Madam Chair, the answer to the timing question has everything to do with market and sales. Under the terms of the current subdivision agreement, the road leading out to Morgan Road would have to be built before building permits were issued for phase 3. And there is a refinement of the subdivision agreement that would happen with staff for phase 3. So we would be certain to reinforce it as a condition. What we're talking about today and the concerns that I understand it from the residents in the area is mitigating that construction traffic as soon as possible. So what we do know is that the market is a very healthy market right now. Last year at this time, we didn't anticipate that phase 2 would be built out so quickly, but as it turns out, they've sold out, and they're putting a concentrated effort in building phase 2, which also relates to a lot more truck traffic on Pearl Street. So we're really working with the developer to try to mitigate that.
So, of the people that live there now and have been living there for 3 years, this is a surprise.
No, I think there would be an expectation that over time, Pearl Street it would service a lot of the residential traffic for all those units in there, because the most of the desire would be to go north into the services that are northward in town. So the malls on 45th Street and St. Louis Road. I think what we're really talking about is the interim, the heavy traffic that happens in the interim during construction. So I believe that, I can't speak for the owners, but I think they realize that there will always be school buses there. There will always be vehicular residential traffic there. This is an issue of the heavier impact, the heavy trucks, the pounding of the noise.
Which goes with construction.
Correct.
Mayor Smith, you have any further?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I agree completely with Doug. I think this is about the construction traffic, and we're not always in a situation where we can fix that problem. When we face that, well, Deputy Mayor has been on the Development Services Committee for a long time. There's often that there's nothing you can do about it. But in this case, I think we can. And so I'm happy to hear that staff are working with the developer. I think, Doug, you just said that this road is expected off of Morgan before Phase 3 starts. Well, I'm sure the developer is enjoying very good sales and is looking forward to getting Phase 3 started. So let's work with that developer to make this happen and try and satisfy these residents. But the other question I have, Madam Chair, through you to Doug, is this gentleman, Mr. Foles, had mentioned that he's lived there 3 years and they still don't have sidewalks, curbs, and driveways installed. And I understand the market's been slow, and I understand why that is. But now that the market's not slow and Phase 2 is done and Phase 3 will probably be coming in the near future, or at least we hope, what's the timeline, or do we know the timeline for this Phase 1 to have curbs, sidewalks, driveways completed?
I'm going to apologize up front. I made note of Frank's comment, and I will be following up with engineering services, because they work directly with the developer in the field in terms of coordination of those public facility works. I know that there have been some works that were done as recently as last fall, and they were retrofits to get the sidewalk in, and some of it is asphalt right now, not concrete. So there has been a concentrated effort to move it along. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer to provide committee and the public with a defined schedule on when all the sidewalks would go in, services, street furniture. I apologize.
So, Madam Chair, if we could just get that as soon as Doug has it, I'd appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Gallant.
Thank you. Just one more comment, Doug, is that I think I'm well aware in the time I've been here is that the time frame and the expectation of our residents that are experiencing a problem are often different than how quickly the builder can resolve issues. So I would like us to clearly communicate that some of the aesthetics, the garbage, where things have been dumped and can be moved farther into Phase 3, or where there's standing water. If the issues that can be done quickly, I think if these residents saw a genuine reaction from their builder, they would have a better understanding of the things that might have a slightly longer timeline.
Madam Chair, I can reinforce the comment that in the subdivision agreement, there is that the builder is required to clean up on a regular basis construction garbage, and that's to mitigate garbage going on other people's lands and causing those impacts. I did make a note of the comment. Planning staff will be following up with engineering services staff to deliver that message to the developer that there has to be a higher level of cleanup activity on a regular basis.
I see we have one more comment from
Madam Chair, I've lived on the Sago Sands for 28 years, and I've watched the development come to fruition. And the garbage has been crazy. I would go and every day have a garbage bag full and take it and give it to Luigi, the project manager for the area. It was terrible. And it has continued. And the water, I guess when we bought this in 2006, the farmer who sold the property said to
to the builder, do not build on this, it's a floodplain. You will have problems.
Yeah.
Yeah, remember that?
Over there, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why basements are getting flooded.
Thanks. Kathy, would you identify yourself for the
Catherine
record?
Atley, 34 Wasaga Sands Drive.
Thank you very much. I just have one comment. Oh, sorry. Couple more hands.
It's me again.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who to direct this question to, but during all this construction, Wasaga Sands has been dug up so many times with water lines going in and other various things going in. I'm just curious, will our street be paved down the road? Because it's in pretty rough shape now. It's been patched up here and there. Will it be paved from 45th Street to, say, Pearl Street, or where the new houses are being built or have been built?
Through you, Madam Chair, there is additional works that is proposed for Wasaga Sands Drive for phase 2 of development. And all future phases, the developer is required to install a sewer line, a sanitary sewer line from the development. It would go eastward along Wasaga Sands and then northward and connect to town services. So that's built into the subdivision agreement. Currently, town staff are working with the developer on an external servicing agreement to allow those works to occur. So that's the long answer to the short answer, which is yes, there is more work that will occur on Wasaga Sands Drive. My understanding is there will be new asphalt at the end of this. I cannot confirm that. I'm not intimately aware of the construction works that are tied to the installation of those sewer lines. But in the simple answer is yes, there would be more works. And once those works are completed, there would be restitution to the roadway itself in some form.
Thank you. Just one more comment?
I have one, Madam Chair, through you. One further follow-up. Looking at that whole development, and this is hypothetical because it may never happen. If you come off Wasaga Sands Drive and you go south on Pearl Street till you hit that first corner, if something should happen there that stops access to phase 1 residents, phase 2 construction, and if something should happen in phase 2 construction like a fire, which I've seen happen in California, your equipment could not get in there. There's no two means of access to any of that area other than through Pearl Street. And I don't think that's totally, now from a future development with Morgan Road, Axel Morgan Road built in place, you're okay, you've got two means of access. But until Morgan Road gets built, you have one. And if there should ever be an incident, you're going to have a problem. That's why we're pushing also to get Morgan Road built sooner rather than later.
Thank you very much. Councillor Belanger.
Are we in a position as council, I haven't run into this, to request that we get a report back in a certain timeline as to the progress that we're making on these issues?
Staff are entirely capable of bringing this to engineering services attention and get a report back on the status of the
And what would be a reasonable time frame?
Well, I'm sure we could bring something back next month, an update on the complaints and what is occurring to address those complaints.
Yes,
I think we would like a right answer on this one because we have been waiting and being patient. We have been offered, the grass is coming, and so we wait, and Christmas is coming too. The houses are being given to residents without finish. People are waiting for stuff to be done inside their house. They already moved there. So I think it would be better to put more pressure into the builders because we're tired of waiting. Like my husband said, we're living there for 3 years and we haven't been able to enjoy. Every time those trucks go by, they shake the house. They have the houses, the walls are being cracked and the floors and all that. So I don't think this is just to us. So please give us a date that the bridge is going to be done and no more traffic to cross the street because we can also block the street.
Would you please state your name?
Way to go.
Well, we're waiting for too long, you know, and it's happened, it's coming, but nothing happens. I just,
Could you please state your name for the record, please?
sorry,
Your name for the record?
Blanca Falls.
FOLZ.
The one he's gonna answer to when this is all over. Birthday.
Thank you very much. One more from the back.
Yes, my name is Elaine McKenzie. My ask is about the water. My neighbor was talking, I live on Middleton, was talking about the creek that ran behind us, that really wasn't supposed to be a creek. Well, they've come and they've filled it up with dirt, but the problem with that is when it rains, the water that now is under the dirt is draining towards my basement. And so I'm trying to understand what kind of a timeline is going to be in place for somebody to come out, assess that, and do something to correct it. There doesn't appear to be any drainage anywhere, so I don't know what is going to happen there other than my basement's going to be flooded. I can't determine what is going to take place there.
Through you, Madam Chair, there is a formal process through the construction phase of development where a concern like that has a direct and immediate impact really should be brought to the attention of the town. And what my recommendation is that you contact the Public Works Department and describe what the issue is, and they will direct the developer's engineer to investigate and report back.
Because I had the, sorry, don't mean to cut you off, I had the site manager come in when it was raining and said, hey, look, they just filled this creek in with mud, and now I have the water running back towards my house. My fear is I'm going to have water in my basement. And the comment back to me, well, that will get fixed when we grade. Now, when we grade, to this lady's point, maybe in my lifetime, may not be, I don't know. Everything is happening so slow. Who knows when it's going to be graded? But the bottom line is, we have all this water behind our properties, and it's not just my house or Caroline's house, it's everybody on Middleton. So maybe somebody needs to be doing something about it, and I think a lot of the onus here would be on the builder. He's the man selling the building lots, he's the man building the houses. He's supposed to make sure that proper drainage and whatever is in there so that we don't end up with flooded basements.
It's through you, Madam Chair, it's a very good point. And the reason why staff would redirect a concern like that to the developer's engineer is the developer's engineer has designed the stormwater management for the property as a whole. So it's specifically the developer's engineer who should look at the issue and determine whether or not what is happening is in compliance with the approved plans or it isn't. And that direction would come from the engineer to the developer to make, to adjust the drainage on the site. So it is a very formal approach, and the rationale behind that is the developer's engineer, it's their design.
Your Worship, did you have a comment?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I think we could listen all day to problems and I use the word stories, not that I'm saying they're stories, but I think it's incumbent upon us, the town, to have our staff, our expert staff, go out there and have a look at these issues and report back to committee as soon as possible as to what's being done to rectify these problems, so that we don't have flooded basements, because then it just gets uglier from there on out for everybody. So that would be my recommendation, Madam Chair.
Okay, comments, just to let everyone know, comments received today will be considered and decision will be made as to whether the committee will recommend the proposed amendment proceed further through the approval process. And as you've heard from Doug, that he is aware of all your issues and we'll get back to you. Anyone receiving notice of the public meeting will receive a notice of decision of council in this matter. If you did not receive the notice and would like to receive a copy of the notice of decision for the proposed zoning bylaw amendment, please leave your name and address with the recording secretary or make a written request to the clerk of the town of Wasaga Beach. Thank you. Back to agenda. Okay, so this is the conclusion of today's meeting of the Development Services Committee, and we will adjourn the meeting and we will resume our discussions with the general government.
Thank you very much.
Exactly.